Welcome to the physical work video for the finite state machine lecture for the robotics course. Or, as I like to call this one, the shittiest lockbox build ever. This will be a short video just to demonstrate now that we've gone from the slides where we designed a finite state machine to deal with a little locking device. You can see that right here with the diagram that we originally built that describes everything that the machine goes through. And then in the simulator work video, we went through explaining the keyboard or keypad that you see here and the design of the entire machine to implement that physical state machine, finite state machine that we designed originally. And so this video is just kind of function now, well, okay, let's take everything and now actually put it into a physical device to do some work for us. And the fact of how the actual physical structure can play a role, even though this one is just cardboard-y. So I'm just going to go through a basic demo of the features we had before. The code that's being used here is the exact same code that was used in the actual simulator itself. Now, one step that you have to worry about is if you're doing this with a physical work and you're working with the keyboard for the first time, this keypad.h library is not installed by default for the Arduino IDE. In the simulator, it's there. Now, you can find the actual library itself in multiple locations, even searching for Arduino, but with the actual kits, there is where you download it with the tutorials, there is actually the library section in there, and also with the code zip file that's provided for this week's material, you will find the library in there. And what you need to do is actually install it. So you need to go to Sketch, and then include library, and then add zip to library. And so go to desktop, lectures, code, and in here for the physical work section you will find the keypad.zip. You would just go open and then it'll install that library and everything will compile properly for you from said forth forwards. I want to bring this back up here. So to remember when working with this one that it's going to start in the lock state while there's wrong codes, it keeps staying here. If it gets 1, 2, 3, 4, it'll go down to the hypnotic state and stay here and either go back with 2 or up to the unlocked with 3. And with the code 1324 when you're in the lock state, then it unlocks the device, and then 4231 will relock the device back. And now to mimic that in the original simulator, I just had a servo, and I have the servo still here that will open up a little door. Now, I will hopefully tip this and nothing will come loose because I don't have anything permanently soldered, but inside the box there, you can see the actual Arduino, you can see the breadboard where I have included the resistors for the LEDs there, and I have then lines running up to the very top where the LEDs are to connect to it, and then connect to the servo, and then the mass of other wires that you can see is for the actual connectors for the keypad that's coming through the top. Boom. Now the servo that you see over here on this side, right here where my finger is it's connected just to a little door. So in the lock state, the little flap door is closed, which if I turn over here this way, you can see that little flap there, that's all blue, that's closed now. And when it's unlocked, this then opens up just a little bit. So I'm just using that to kind of mimic working with stuff for as much as I can using cardboard and the resources that I had to work for. And then otherwise you have the keypad on top, and we have the original 3 lights, this time replacing the white with a yellow, but we have our beginning. So you can see it's in the red state, which was one of the requirements. When in your lock state, the light is red. So what we can start doing now is stepping through demoing some of the transitions and making sure that everything's working properly. I have this currently hooked up to the computer for power so that we can use the serial monitor. But before the end of the video, I want to demo where I just hook it up to a basic $5 little cell phone charger that I have that gives the right power to run the Arduino off of, so I can just demo quickly that you don't always have to have it connected to a computer to do all your work. So this output here will be the same output you were seeing during the demo in the simulator video. And so as the keys are pressed. So first step is I'm just going to enter an incorrect key. So we know if we get 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 3, 2, 4, these will be proper transitions and they're proper codes. So I will just put up in random code. So 1, 4, 7. And you can see here as it's saying that I have the output for the key buffer on. So I can see that, okay, it's read a 1, then a 4, and a 7. And we can see the keys that are being saved into that key buffer. And if I go to 8, well, okay, unknown code. And you can see nothing has changed on here. We still have the actual red light. So next, let's go to the actual unlock state itself. So we'll go 1, 3, 2, 4. So 1, 3, 2, 4. And we can see the light is green, and what would be hard to see is that now that little flap is open on the actual side. So I'm going to hold the box here to the side so you can see the lights and see the flap. And now right here is, well, I could put 1, 3, 2, 4 in again. So 1, 3, oh, it's the wrong code. And I'm hypnotic. So, okay, ignore all that. 1, 3, 2, 4, and we're still in the unlock state. We're over here. So it won't go back until we're actually in the 4, 3, 2, 1. So 4, 2, 3, 1. Boom. And you can see the little flap close really quickly. So we went from here over to back to here, and just to demo it again. So 1, 3, 2, 4. Unlock it, and you got the flap opened up. And then 4, 2, 3, 1 to lock everything up. Now, since we're back in this state, so transition, we should be sitting right here. I can now press 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to go into our hypnotic state, and we can see it cycling through the 3 lights while still waiting for input from our actual keyboard that we have here now. Okay, so let's go back to the lock state. Just demo that. So 2. You can see it's changing and notifying me that I'm in the lock state. We're back to red. We're okay. I can then try the other transitions of 1, 2, 3, 4 to go back to hypnotic, and then press 3 to go up to unlocked. And you can see everything's still working fine. Little flap opened up. We have the right lights and everything. So you can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Hypnotic lights, and then go up to the lock state. Boom. So, little bits of everything. Okay, so it's not a super long video this time. It was just more to show a physical kind of box and a structure. This may not be the best one, but since I have to tear this apart, I didn't want to spend a ton of time building something else. But just showing now, okay, well, some of the other considerations that you have to take of where you're placing stuff. Like, I've got the keypad in, yes, I've got the lights, but then, well, how do I start controlling everything else? So the fact that I have the servo over here, boom. You can see I have a little piece of metal on the connectors. Let's see if I can lift it up a little bit higher. Boom, boom. There's still a piece of metal that is then taped and connected into that flap. So when the servo moves, that also moves, and it's enough force that it works for the case I'm dealing with. And then you can seal the case of, well, running the rest of the wires to connect everything together. And in this case, I'm just using the breadboard. If we were doing this permanently, we would solder everything, but again, I want to take all of this apart, so I use the breadboard to do what I could, so I could have resistors in some place and just run the lights and lines everywhere else as I needed to. And making our fancy little box. Okay. Ooh, hypnotic. Or make even the flap more noticeable if we go back to 3. Ooh. And then 1, 2, and then going. Ooh, fancy. Okay. Other than that, before ending this video, that was a shorter one, is just showing running it with other power. So I've got the cable here connected to the USB on my computer. So I'm just going to unplug the Arduino itself. And to show you that this is one of the ways, I'll make future videos about some of the other ways to power it. But, well, I've loaded the code on, and maybe if I don't need to see the actual, system monitor here to see the output, I can then just maybe connect and have my device run separately now that I know that it's all working properly as I need to. So again, this is just as simple that I have a cell phone charger. This one, at minimum, you can read the actual outputs that they give you. So most times on the back saying what power you actually have. So you can see this one. I'll let you read it there. Ooh, how about I bring it over so you can just read some of it. Okay. And this one just tells me, okay, well, for output, it gives 5 volts and 2.4 amps max. So we need at least 5 volts, and as far as I remember from the top of my head, as at least 1 amp to be able to run the basic Arduino code. So this will work perfectly fine. So then all you need to do is just same as plugging into your computer, is just plug it the same cable you had into the charger into your Arduino. Boom. So now you can see we've got everything now running off of this little charger. So that I can pick it up, I can move it, I can do a little bit more with it now. I can change the states, say 1, 2, 3, 4 to put it into the hypnotic, and it's still running perfectly fine. I can then try taking this and go to the unlock state, since we're right here, is then press 3, and boom. Bring it up so you can see the flap. Oop, did I press the wrong button? And it's because of power. There we go, it just shut off when I was doing that. So now I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go to 3. Now you can see. So you can see even by me moving this around, something got disconnected. But that little fun of moving, getting the connectors. Okay, so there's your physical work video. And I suggest, so if you have the kits, maybe try playing around and just taking some box and some tape and seeing what it's like to physically hook stuff up, and realizing that it gets a little bit more difficult, that you've planned it out before, but how much light do you have? What are you running stuff off of? Where is everything located, and reaching in just to physically place the actual wires itself. Okay, so from there, as always, continue to be great people, and if you don't think you're a good person, well, I disagree with you, and you are, and I'm right, and you're wrong. And try to maybe, as I've said with many videos, if you've got the time right now and you're at the end of this video, maybe just send a message to someone saying that you care about them. And check in on them. If nothing else, even if they don't reply, I know myself, I appreciate getting those messages, and just makes me feel a little bit better. Bye-bye for now.